stable, secure, affordable, window eyes.
Welcome to another GW Micro How Do I Do That presentation. Today's presentation is going to talk about how to use the ribbon in Microsoft applications. The ribbon is a relatively new concept originally designed for Office 2007. On my screen, I currently have Microsoft Word 2010 open, and I can verify that by pressing Control-Shift-T.
Document 1 Microsoft Word maximized.
So you can hear Document 1 Microsoft Word maximized. The ribbon essentially replaces the old menu system, and so the ribbon takes up basically everything at the top of the screen above the document area and below the title bar. So if we could actually see the screen and look from the top down, we'd see the title bar, followed by the ribbon, which consists of some stuff I'll talk about here real soon, and then followed by the document area where you type in your document, below that the status bar. Now I always think it's easiest for people to learn new tasks when they can relate them to things that they've done in the past. And so I have both Microsoft Office Word 2010 open, and I also have Notepad open as well. So I'm actually going to go back to Notepad to review some things in the menu that you can take those concepts and then be able to apply them when you're talking about the ribbon. So I'm going to press Alt-Tab to go over to Notepad. So I'm going to hold down my Alt key and press Tab while I'm holding down my Alt key.
Untitled Notepad. Task switching.
You hear Untitled Notepad, task switching. I'm going to release my Alt key to go to that application.
Untitled Notepad. Edit box.
All right, it says Untitled Notepad, Edit box. And I'm going to press Control-Shift-T to verify that I'm in Notepad and that the application is maximized.
Untitled Notepad maximized.
So that was Control-Shift-T. Okay, inside of Notepad, it still has the menu system that you're probably very used to. Anytime you want to access a menu, most people already know that you press the Alt key. So I'm going to press Alt.
File F pull down.
And it says File F pull down. So it tells me the name of the item I'm on, the accelerator key, and that this thing is a pull down menu. Well, we heard file, we heard the letter F, and we heard pull down. That letter F tells us that if we had pressed Alt F, it would have opened this menu and put us inside of there. However, I just pressed the Alt key. So if I want to go to the item that's to the right of this particular menu item, I'll just press my right arrow key.
Edit E pull down.
Edit, I'll press right arrow again.
Format O pull down.
You can tell that I'm moving to the item to the right. If I want to go back to the left, I'll press my left arrow key.
Edit E pull down.
And I'll press my left arrow key again.
File F pull down.
And I could press enter on one of these if I wanted to open one of these up. But we're here to talk about the ribbon, not the menu system. I just want to remind you of some of these keystrokes that you could use in the menu because you'll be able to take those skills and apply them to the ribbon. I'm going to press escape here.
Menu closed.
And then I'm going to press Alt F4. That's Alt and function key number 4 so that it will close Notepad.
Document 1 Microsoft Word. Style normal page 1 of 1 column 1 of 1 print layout document 1.
And you can tell we're back into Microsoft Word. All right, so we're in Word. We're in the document area by default. How do we access this thing called the ribbon? Well, we were just in Notepad, and when we wanted to access the menu system, we pressed your Alt key. Guess what? That still works. So I'm going to press the Alt key to access the ribbon.
Home Alt, H1 of 7 tab control.
Now that sounded a lot different. It said Home Alt H 1 of 7 tab control. Where in the menu system we heard File F pull down. So let's kind of define what's going on here. We're in this thing called a tab control. It's not a pull down menu like before, it's a tab control. It said it was Home. So that would be like when we heard File before. The name of this thing is Home. Something that's really handy about the ribbon is it gives you the entire hotkey. So before, when we were in the menu system, we just heard F. Well, here we hear the entire hotkey, which is Alt-H. So we heard Home, Alt-H, and it told us this was the first one of 7, which is interesting because the menu system never told us that. So this is the first one of 7, and it's a tab control. Well, how do you get between these various tab controls? Just like with the menu system, we can right and left arrow between them. So if this is the first one, let's press the right arrow to go to the next one.
Insert Alt, N2 of 7.
And you hear Insert Alt N as in Nancy, 2 of 7. If I right arrow again,
Page layout Alt, P3 of 7.
this is the page layout tab. Let's keep going.
References Alt, S4 of 7.
I'm going to keep going here.
5 of 7. Mailings Alt, M5 of 7.
I'll continue to press right arrow,
Review Alt, R6 of 7.
and I'll right arrow again.
View Alt, W7 of 7.
So we had these 7 different tabs. We had the Home tab, Insert, Page Layout, References, Mailings, Review, and View. So these are the different tab controls. If I could put a ruler on the left-hand side of my screen and measure this, I'm going to guess that these tab controls are maybe a 1/4 inch thick or so. They're about the same thickness as the title bar. However, below these tab controls, again with the ruler, there's probably an inch or inch and a half space of these things called items and groups that are contained within each tab control. So a menu item, such as back in Notepad, you'd open it up and you'd have this vertical menu. With the ribbon, each of these tab controls has these things called groups and items inside of them, and they go horizontally across the screen, so they're not vertical like the menu system. And if I didn't mention this already, those tab controls are horizontal across the screen as well. So the tab controls are probably 1/4 inch thick, roughly. The groups and items are about 1 inch thick. Unlike the menu system where it was structured very easily just up and down, these groups and items are kind of spread all over the place, and it's a little difficult to describe how they're actually laid out visually, which I think leads to some confusion in the ribbon, but they're still pretty easy to access once you get the hang of it. Now, as I move through these tab controls, these groups and items are updating visually. Just like if I were in the menu system and had the menus open, if you would move to the next menu and each menu were to be open at the same time, then those things would update. In this case, you have one area of the screen that's repopulating with the groups and items for that tab control. And so, for example, right now I'm on view and I could visually see the groups and items if I were able to see these things visually on the screen. If I left arrow,
Review Alt, R6 of 7.
Now the groups and items, again below where the tab controls are, horizontally across the screen, about 1 inch thick. These are the groups and items that are for the review tab. So they've updated, they've replaced or repopulated the area on the screen where the groups and items were for the view tab. And as I continue to go along here, as I left arrow,
Mailings Alt, M5 of 7.
same thing is happening. So again, those groups and items are repopulating on the screen for this particular tab control we're on. And I'm going to press left arrow till we get to Home.
References Alt, S. Page layout Alt. Insert Alt, and Home Alt, H1 of 7.
So I pressed left arrow several times to get to Home. Now, how do I access this stuff or these groups and items that are inside of this particular tab control? This is where things get different and are a bit confusing for people at first. But again, you can get the hang of this. So instead of pressing the down arrow key or enter like we may have done inside of Notepad to open up the file menu, you actually press your tab key. Most of the time when you're in a tab control, you'll press your tab key to access those items. So I'm going to go ahead and press tab.
Clipboard Group Paste Control plus V split button.
That was a lot of information just thrown at you probably. Remember I said that these things contain groups and they contain items. So we're now in what might be referred to as the lower part of the ribbon. The tab controls can sometimes be referred to the upper part of the ribbon. So we're in this part of the ribbon that goes again horizontally across the screen, and I mentioned it's made up of groups and items. Well, the first thing we heard is that we're in the clipboard group. There are multiple groups within each tab control. Now the clipboard group is going to contain items. Well, what are those items going to be related to? Obviously, anything related to the clipboard group. The first item that we hear is the paste button or the paste split button. If we wanted to hear that again, maybe we didn't get all the information, we could use the Speak Summary hotkey in Windows, which is Control-Shift-S. So I'm going to do Control-Shift-S.
Clipboard Group Paste Control plus V paste the contents of the clipboard.
That even told us some extra information. Now let's suppose I want to go to the next item here within the clipboard group. I don't right, left, or up or down arrow. I'll miss things if I try and do that. So instead what I want to do is, again, press my Tab key.
Cut Alt, H, X Control plus X button disabled.
So I pressed Tab. Now you're hearing some various things that are probably in excess of what you're used to inside of the menu system. So we heard cut, that's the name of the item. Then we heard Alt-HX, and then we heard Control-X. You've got three different pieces of information you're going to hear typically when you're inside of the ribbon for an item that you're on. So cut was the name of the item. That makes sense. The next thing that you heard was the hotkey to get to this item through the ribbon. It said Alt-HX. And that doesn't mean Alt-HX all at the same time. It means Alt-H and then release those keys. That would have gotten us into the Home tab. And then press the letter X, and that would activate the cut button. It also told us that Control X is the other hotkey, which is the hotkey you're typically used to when cutting items, and it's the hotkey that's used from within the document area. Now again, let's apply this back to the information we already know. If we were in Notepad and we wanted to open up a file, we could have done it in two different ways. We could have pressed Alt-F to open up the File menu, and then pressed the letter O. I'm going to open up Notepad just to demonstrate that. I'm going to do a Windows key R, which will open up our Run dialog.
Dialog Run.
And type in Notepad.
N-O-T-E-P-A-D.
And enter.
Untitled Notepad. Edit box.
First thing I always do is make sure it's maximized, so Control-Shift-T.
Untitled Notepad Normal.
Says it's normal, so I need to maximize this. So I'm going to do Alt-Spacebar to bring up the System menu.
Space. Menu closed.
And the letter X.
System restore are disabled.
I'm going to silence that. The letter X will activate the maximize option because that's the accelerator key. So I'll press X.
X. Menu closed.
Now I'm going to press Control and do Control-Shift-T. Make sure I'm maximized.
Untitled Notepad maximized.
All right, here we are. So I'm in Notepad, so I could do an Alt-F.
F. New and Control-N.
And open is an option here. So if I press O.
O. Menu closed. File name and combo edit box.
It brings me to the open dialog. And so this is synonymous with what the ribbon is telling you when it's saying Alt-HX. It's the same type of concept that you had in the menu system. I'll press Escape to get out of this inside of Notepad.
Untitled Notepad.
And I'll silence that. If I wanted to open a file, I don't have to do Alt-F-O in Notepad. I could have done just Control-O. So if I do Control-O.
Open. File name and combo edit box. Dialog open.
It does the exact same thing. And so the ribbon is actually telling us the multiple hotkeys that we can use to be able to access this information. So I'm going to press Escape to get out of here in Notepad.
Untitled Notepad.
And I'm going to just leave it open in case we need it again, and Alt-Tab back over to Word.
Document 1 Microsoft Word.
And
Task
release my Alt
switching.
key.
Document 1 Microsoft Word. Style normal
And
page
I'm going to
1.
press Control to silence that. So we're back in Word, and since I switched applications, so this will give us a chance to review. If we want to get into the ribbon, again, we press the Alt key.
Home Alt, H1 of 7 tab control.
If I want to get into that tab control, I can press my Tab key.
Clipboard group paste control plus V split button.
All right, I'll press Tab again.
Cut Alt, H, X control plus X button disabled.
So again, you're hearing those three pieces of information. The name of the item, the hotkey to access it through the ribbon, and the hotkey to access it through the document area. Let's try the next one. I'll press Tab.
Copy Alt, H, C control plus C button disabled.
All right, so this one said copy, name of the item. Next hotkey was Alt-H, followed by C. That's the hotkey to go through the ribbon, and then the hotkey from within the document area, Control-C. So you have to start to train your mind to listen and delineate these different pieces of information. Now I'm going to tab until I get to the next group, which is actually going to be the font group. So I'm going to press tab until I hear font group.
Format Painter Alt,
Tab.
H, Office Clipboard,
Tab.
Alt, Font Calibri Body
Tab.
Rich Edit, Font Size 11
Tab.
Rich Edit, Font Group Pro Font Alt, H, FG Control plus greater than button.
All right, this one said font group. I'm now in the font group, and I have all of these items that are related to the font. If I want to move forward an item, I can press Tab. If I want to move backwards an item, I can press Shift-Tab. So I could go backwards here as well. Now, one of the issues people have issues with is they think inside of the ribbon that they have to continually press Tab to get to the item they want to get to. Well, there are multiple groups, and each group has a lot of stuff within inside of it. So I don't necessarily need to press Tab until I get through each item inside of a group. Instead, I can jump to the next group and then start looking for an item inside of that group. For example, the next group is the paragraph group. I'll press Control right arrow. So if I do Control right arrow,
paragraph group bullet split button.
Now I should note that in Office 2007 it's actually Shift right arrow, but in 2010 it's Control right arrow. So I just jumped to the next group using Control right arrow. I could go to the previous group by pressing Control left arrow. Now if I want to jump to the next item or navigate to the next item, I can just press Tab.
Numbering split button.
And Tab again.
Multi-level list Alt H M grid drop down button.
Or I could move backwards by pressing Shift Tab. That'll move me backwards by an item.
Numbering split button.
So I press Shift Tab. If I know that none of the items that I am looking for are going to be in the paragraph group, I can simply just go ahead and move to the next group. So I can do a Control right arrow.
Styles group quick styles Alt H L grid drop down button.
If I do Control right arrow again,
editing group find Control plus F split button.
You're seeing that I'm moving to the next group. And if I want to get to the previous group, I can do Control left arrow.
Styles group quick styles Alt H L grid drop down button.
And anytime that I want to get out of here, I just simply press my escape key, just like the menu.
Style normal page 1 of 1 column 1 of 1 print layout document 1.
So these are the very basics of how I access the ribbon system inside of Microsoft Word. All of these concepts will apply to Microsoft Excel 2010, PowerPoint 2010, Outlook 2010, and even WordPad and some of the other applications that Microsoft is currently coming out with that use the ribbon. And it's going to become more and more popular, so this is a really, really important skill to be able to learn, to be able to keep up with the latest technology that's coming out. Thanks for joining us for another How Do I Do That presentation from GW Micro. For any technical support questions, you can contact our technical support department at support, S-U-P-P-O-R-T, at gwmicro.com, or call technical support at 260-489-3671.
Stable, secure, affordable, Windows.